It's me, Professor Tree, and today I'll be showing you 5 things you need to do before the launch of Scarlet and Violet. Let's go! First up is to make sure to transfer all of your favourite Pokemon from the previous games such as Sword and Shield and Legends Arceus to Pokemon Home. Now you may be thinking, Professor Tree, what is Pokemon Home? Well, don't worry trainers, I'm going to tell you what it is and how to use it. The main thing you need to do if you haven't already is head to the eShop and download Pokemon Home. After downloading it, open the app and connect your existing games. It should automatically connect to your console if it has any existing save data of compatible games such as Sword and Shield, Legends Arceus, and many more. After connecting everything up, you'll be able to choose whichever game you want to move Pokemon over from and transfer to your box. But be wary though, unless you pay for the premium subscription, you have a limited amount of space, in this case being a whole box. What makes this so helpful for new games is that we know the Hisuian forms are in Scarlet and Violet, meaning we can transfer in low-level Hisuian form of Pokemon, such as Hisuian Zorua, and take the insane type advantages right before we begin our adventures. For example, Hisuian Zorua being a ghost type, being immune to most physical attacks. The reason why Hisuian Zorua is such a great example is because you can evolve it and make it into a Zoroark. Not only do you get the ability to disguise, but then you also get a ghost typing, like the previous version of Zorua being a ghost type as well, but the difference is you get access to better moves early on in the game, making your journey a lot more fun and a lot more easy. Next up is practicing catching Pokemon in Legends Arceus. Now I know what you'd be thinking, Professor Tree, why would I want to play a different game to get better at catching Pokemon in the new ones? Well trainer, it's because, well yes, there are some noticeable differences between the catching mechanics in Scarlet and Violet compared to say, Legends Arceus, but they are still very similar and fundamentally the same in the way they behave, and it's the best example of what the mechanics are like outside of just playing the new games when they come out, so it's a great way to get better before the games actually hit your Switch. You're probably thinking, why should I do this instead of just playing the new games? And my main reason is because you can get better at aiming now, you'll have less trouble later when trying to catch specific Pokemon while exploring Paldea, which will improve your journey and definitely make it worth your while. Another awesome update to the catching mechanic in Scarlet and Violet is that Pokeballs no longer take ages to rock and catch the Pokemon, making critical captures a lot easier to chain while shiny hunting, allowing players who may not have had shinies before to have some in their teams finally. The next bit of advice I have for you trainers is practicing raid battles on Pokemon Sword and Shield, as the raid dens are the best and most accurate example of how Terra raids will function in Scarlet and Violet, barring a few key differences, namely that you don't have to wait your turn to attack the Pokemon in the raid, and that you don't need to worry about the pesky shield mechanic that was featured in Sword and Shield. So my best advice to you trainers is rinse and repeat, take on as many raids as you possibly can before the new games come out, as this will be beneficial in 2 ways. 1, it will allow you to become used to how raids work again, as that was a feature not found in Legends Arceus, and 2, it will give you tons of XP on your Pokemon that you can then transfer to improve your team in Scarlet and Violet. And finally, make sure to try various different types, as you'll get used to the hectic and random nature of Terra raids, as even though they indicate the colour of what type the Pokemon is on the raid den itself, the Terra raid itself will be very different due to the Pokemon being 2 different typings, its Terra raid and its actual typing, allowing it to battle you with 2 different types of moves. This will be beneficial to you as it will improve your type effectiveness knowledge and also get you used to new abilities and moves. Another awesome thing you can do to improve your time when battling your friends in game is to use a website called Pokemon Showdown to practice battling. I'd highly recommend doing random battles however instead of doing set teams, as you'll learn to adapt in the moment instead of planning ahead to counter your opponent's Pokemon. This is also a great tool for those wanting to go into competitive Pokemon, as it allows you to spec out your teams to deal with tournament level opponents, as well as overall being a great tool I'd highly recommend checking out before playing the new games, as it's totally free and it lets you let loose without having to worry about healing your Pokemon or worrying about replacing items. And as for the final bit of advice I have for you trainers is to have fun, as despite how much I'm recommending that you train, these games are at heart all about the fun, and what's more fun than taking your time and exploring a whole new region to its fullest in these new games, as they are meant to be played for fun after all. So remember, while yes, there will always be trainers out there that will aim to speedrun the game, you don't have to do that, and don't feel forced to rush your adventure just because of what other trainers are doing. If it's their playthrough and that's how they want to play it, it doesn't mean you have to play it that way as well. Because I personally love to take my time and explore the region and find every little Easter egg in detail, so that I can share them with you guys. And that will be all from me today trainers. I hope that you have a great time, and remember, a smart trainer is a happy trainer, so don't feel burdened by all this information. Just remember, practice if you really want to go hard into these new games and do as best as you can. If not, then I hope you have a fun adventure in Paldea. I know I will, and I'm sure you will as well. Goodbye!